coming right there. All right, guys, welcome back to Tactical Rifleman. Here's what we got going for you today. We got Amber and Ryan from Fit to Fight Republic this week, and what we're going to be discussing is some, not disarms, but what we're going to be doing is incapacitating an active shooter. Let's give it some context.
Yeah, so we're just starting to scratch the surface on an option, a way to deal with somebody who's come into your space to do harm.
Yeah, especially like if I'm a teacher in a classroom and I have no other exit, you know, I've got 25, 30 kids, it's going to be hard to get everybody moving. Maybe I'm on a second level. Maybe there's just nowhere to go, because people say run, hide, fight all the time, but what does that really mean? Where am I running to? How am I going to hide myself and all these kids? Sometimes the only option is to fight. So if I'm in a classroom, I know that these kids are my responsibility, and I can station myself inside that doorway because there's only maybe a single point of entry, and that's where I should be. Because the other option is what? It's literally fish in a barrel.
Where are you going to run? Where are you going to hide?
That's right. So you're going to give these teachers some options of something that they could do that anyone really could do.
So we're really only discussing kind of a part of it, right? We'll be talking about the third person application, meaning guns pointed at somebody else and you're going to approach them. There's some other ways to do it. There's ways to do it when the gun's pointed at you, right? Sure. We can discuss that maybe later.
Right. But the context here is I'm a teacher. I'm in a class. I've got kids that are my responsibility. I know if my door is breached, he's only got that one way to come in, and we're going to give her or him some options of something that they can do.
What's going on here is essentially Ryan is guns are cleared and barrels are blocked, okay? What we're going to do is Ryan is going to be playing our active shooter, and Amber here is just going to be our student or our poor person getting caught in the way, right? So I'll be coming in from any sort of third person position, right? The key elements here to understand is, first of all, safety-wise, when you're practicing this, either use a real gun with a barrel block or use a blue gun. Wear gloves because your hands will get ripped up. When I teach this in schools and stuff, I play the bad guy and I end up coming out all bloody and, you know, busted up, and these people really do a number on me. And that just shows really how effective this can be, right? What we're talking about is a very simple concept, okay? With a rifle, I know a lot of us are more afraid of a rifle because it's big and loud and it's a horrible killing machine. But really, it's easier to incapacitate somebody, especially from a third person position, meaning that gun's not pointed at me. The concept is simple. We just need to work our way down. With a rifle, you have a lot more space to love on, right? Let's put this into simple language. We all know how to give a hug, right? I don't care if you give a hug this way, or this way, or this way, or however you like hugging people, but it's a big fucking bear hug. Right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to bear hug both the rifle and as much arm as I can get into my love paws. Cool? So Ryan's going to go ahead and point at our poor student, and I'm as aggressively as I can. This is the trick. As aggressively as I can, I'm going to run up and I'm going to hug, gun and arm. Guys, if you train this at home, be careful, because if I really apply this bear hug, I will be dislocating shoulder, right? Breaking ulna and radius, messing up elbow, right? So be careful. It doesn't matter if you hug this way. This is kind of a natural way. If I'm much shorter than the attacker, I might go from underneath, okay? I just grab whatever I can and I hold on to dear life. I can get under the arm. I can grab the arm. I can grab my own hand, okay? Kind of like you would be carrying a football if you're a running back. Also, what you'll notice is, let's turn this way a little bit. What you'll notice is the ejection port of the rifle is right here. I am now inducing a malfunction. So he gets one shot, unless he can tap rack, which he will not be able to, okay? So that's that. The main objective right off the bat, you have to be aggressive. If you're not aggressive, go home and watch TV. By being aggressive, not only am I getting this gun into my grasp, but this muzzle is no longer pointed at whoever it was pointed at before. The next step is hold on to dear life, and all I'm gonna do is really, I'm just gonna pick up my feet. What that means is I'm just gonna, from here, go into the fetal position. I'm not gonna roll down into the fetal position. I'm literally going to pick my feet up off the ground, and I'm gonna fall down. Now, I'm gonna do this slowly and gently because this will cause injuries, okay? Be careful, this will cause injuries. All right, so I'm gonna do it gently. I'm just gonna fall to the floor. I'm gonna lay down on this gun. I don't care how much he struggles. Ryan, can you pull out of this?
No.
Can you try? Not much. He might be able to pull the trigger. He gets one shot, and it's going either into the floor or very, very low on the ground towards a wall or whatever. Obviously, none of this is ideal, but it's gonna get this muzzle to the absolute safest place that it can be under these circumstances. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, kind of, you sort of went over it quickly. Doing something like this requires you to go all in. And you said be aggressive or go watch TV. If you're not going all in, committed to getting that gun, holding on to it, holding on to that person at all costs, you need to be all out. That half measure, that halfway point, that getting close and backing up and not being able to decide, this is not the time. So it's all in or all out, 0 or 100.
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand too that, you know, there's the bystander effect, right? And I think it happens two ways mainly. One, I think a lot of times there's this unconscious thing where there's a situation going on, there's a group of people in the room, and a lot of people have a tendency to think, well, there's somebody in the room more qualified to deal with this than me. And so nothing happens. Mm-hmm. But then the flip side of that is once somebody does engage, other people are much more likely and willing to engage. So if you can train somebody to be first and to do something like this, because it's very gross motor, anybody could do it and pull it off, they should know that it's much more likely now that somebody's going to come and help you. I wouldn't count on it because you never know, but if you're in a workspace where you're with coworkers and colleagues, or you're in a school where there are other people in the room that care about you and the others, much more likely to happen than maybe if it's just happening in a random movie theater where everybody is scattering. You know, so I think that's important for people to understand that, you know, being first is always going to be the hardest, but second, third, fourth, fifth are probably much more likely to join in. Man.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're getting into the next bit of our active shooter thing, which we're not going to get into on the video. But this is also your point. This is why when I run my active shooter training for schools, churches, whatever, where we start is the act of enabling people to take action, right? It's not technique. It's not, dealing with a gun. It's enabling people to get over that freeze kind of, that freeze reflex, right? So everybody says, oh yeah, fight or flight response, fight or flight. I call absolute bullshit on fight or flight. Fight or flight is completely irrelevant. It's stupid. Here's why. Because fight or flight comes at a much later stage of the process. It's not that it doesn't exist, but in order to even get to fight or flight, you have to get past freeze or take action, right? Once you get there, now we can start learning.
Well, fight or flight are good things.
Right, exactly. They're already actions.
Right. Those are things that you're already committed to something.
Right.
Where freeze is a real problem, and that's the one that people. That's where training really comes into play. You know,
right.
Like give people a sense of competency and security in their abilities to actually do something. Because I know we've been in a lot of schools over the years teaching very similar stuff, and right from jump, the initial mindset and mentality, and I understand it, is, I'm a third grade teacher. What am I going to do?
Right.
You know, and you got to get past that first. Mm-hmm. And once you get there and people see, oh, I actually could do that, because you make them do it, right? Yeah. You physically put them in that situation and make them do it. That's such a I think, liberating thing when you're thinking, I'm responsible for these 25 third graders, and I have no idea what I would do.
Right.
You know, because ultimately they're the ones that are going to be charged with dealing with the bad guy coming through their door.
Yep. All right. So we talked about rifle. Now let's talk about pistol, right? We have a barrel blocked pistol. The technique is going to be pretty much the same, except there's one more principle that we have to add. Okay, so we'll start in third person. As I'm coming up to this guy who's trying to shoot my innocent, whoever, paint your picture in your mind, right? Same deal. I'm going to give a hug, right? In this case, I kind of threaded my arm through because it's comfortable for me and I happen to be taller than the attacker. While I'm doing that, that muzzle gets diverted. The one principle to add is if I grab Ryan up high here, like we sometimes like in Krav Maga and things, right? What happens is he still has the motion freedom. So he can shoot me, he can shoot other people, and that gun can keep shooting until that magazine runs out of food. So the principle is simple. Isolate down to one joint, right? One joint of mobility. So as I do this and I'm taking him forward, I'm gonna let my hand slip until I get down to these wrist joints, okay? What I'm doing here is two things, right? If I can get hand on the back of the gun, great. If I can get hand on the top of the gun, great. If I can't, I'm just gonna glue this to my body. A lot of you are asking, well, if he takes a shot now, it's gonna burn your arm. So what? I don't care. I'm saving people, right? My arm is worthless compared to her life, right? So once I'm coming up, okay, I'm just gonna wrap, isolate down to one joint, and again, fall to the ground. In this case, right, what happens a lot, you'll see I have my arm, my hand here around the slide of the pistol. What that's allowing me is, or let me rephrase that. What that's allowing the shooter is one shot. He can take that one shot and that's it. He's got one shot, and that shot is, as you see, it's either kind of flush in the front of my shoulder, no big deal, or going into that wall or whatever. Either way, I've just saved everybody's life in the room. Plus, the added benefit is if I fall hard while we're doing that, again, I'm breaking arms, I'm busting, elbows, shoulders. So safety first, guys. All right, guys, so those were some of the most basic techniques everybody can do. What do you guys think? What do you have to say?
I think it's great. You're giving, especially like we talked about, teachers with very limited options in their ability to run or hide, legitimate ways, gross motor skill ways of dealing with an active killer coming through their door. Something that anybody can do, something to give them the confidence to be first. I think that it's such a palatable way and a tangible way that anybody can see that and think, well, I can do this. I can hug that. I can fall down.
Right.
Because ultimately, they're the ones that are going to have to do that thing. Because the other option is to do nothing, and we know what the result of that is.
Right now, they're getting nothing. They're getting people who are safe in these buildings in the big city of their state saying, okay, if this happens, run, hide, fight. And then they're not getting any training on how to do that. And so right now they have nothing, and they think that there's nothing out there, but you've shown that there's something they can do, and you don't have to be a giant person, a high-speed guy. You don't have to train for hours and hours a day for your whole life. We have options that are something for you. So having something is so much better than just nothing.
Absolutely. Really good stuff, man.
So I know I have a one-day course for teachers, faculty, church, whatever, that I teach about this topic. It goes a lot more in depth than giving a hug to a gun, of course. Do you guys offer something like that?
We do. Very similar. One day. But we do focus a lot on teachers and people in school systems because, I mean, those are the ones that we're most concerned about being able to protect.
And protect our kids.
That's right.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
And check us out next week.
If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on anything.